Then we will move to new business. And item A is Jobs for America's Graduates, Program Overview and Possible Implementation for 2011-12 school year. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Hi, I'm Sandy Sobek Leslie. I am with Jobs for America's Graduates Wisconsin and Forward Service Corporation, and I'm here today with my partners from the Western Wisconsin Workforce Development Board and Workforce Connections. I have Jamie Applin and Lee Kenyon in the back of the room. We've recently been working with both of those agencies to bring the Jobs for America's Graduates program here to the 8-county region that is Western Wisconsin. And we're specifically here before you to talk to you about bringing the program to Tomah High School in the fall, this coming fall. That would be the 2011-2012 school year. I represent, as I mentioned, Forward Service Corporation. We are a service corporation that's been in existence since 1979. We've been around roughly 30 years. We're a private nonprofit corporation, and we run a number of programs across the state of Wisconsin. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I have a clicker, or do you?
You're going to have to tell me when to click for you.
Sure, go ahead. And how about to the next one then, too? Great. And this will show you our program area for Forward Service Corporation. As you can see, the blue dots across the the eastern side of the state represent where we are currently, and we represent the Educational Talent Search, Jobs for America's Graduates. Currently, we have that in Dane County. Supportive Housing, we have the Trans Program, placing minorities and women into Department of Transportation positions, employment positions. We run the Upward Bound program, which also caters to young people. We run the Wisconsin Employment Transportation Assistance Program, Wisconsin Works, W-2, and the WIA, Wisconsin Investment Act program as well. And we do that, and we've been doing it for 30 years. In 2009, Forward Service Corporation was named the affiliate for the Jobs for America's Graduates program in Wisconsin. We were recently funded by the Western Wisconsin Workforce Development Board, and partnering with the Workforce Connections Group, JAG Wisconsin has expansion plans and for an in-school and out-of-school programming in this 8-county area. That would be Buffalo, Crawford, Jackson, Juneau, La Crosse, Monroe, Trempealeau, and Vernon counties. And we're looking to serve in our first year roughly 155 to 160 young people. As far as Jobs for America's Graduates, a national organization, we're represented nationally. They also have 30 years of experience serving young people. It's a nonprofit organization, the national organization as well, dedicated to dropout prevention. We serve at-risk students, at-risk kids in 33 states. For over 30 years, JAG has held a school-to-career program. We've delivered consistent, repeatable results. We're quantitatively driven. We've got the data that backs up the proven results of getting kids to graduate and finding education, post-secondary education opportunities, as well as job opportunities. And these are students and young people in school program for students, and the out-of-school program for young people that have dropped out of high school or that are needing extra assistance in finding jobs and finding post-secondary education opportunities. So we've been doing this for about 30 years. I've been doing it for 2 years. They've been doing it for 30 years. We've served in that 30-year period over 750,000 graduates. It's a work-based learning experiences, so we're teaching the kids hands-on experience. We're taking them on job shadowing opportunities. We're taking them into the business site so that they can work with employment agencies, employers, and find employment when they graduate from high school. Our main focus initially is to get the kids to get a high school diploma, and then we introduce them as well throughout the school year, throughout the programming period, to employers, to post-secondary educational institutions, and show them a future that they never thought possible. We also provide 12 months of follow-up period after they graduate from high school, which we have found to be so crucial to these students staying in school or staying in their job. 12 months, we follow up with them a couple of times a month to make sure that they, if they have questions, if they need help, if they need someone to review an essay, perhaps that they're writing, to make sure that they're doing okay in where they're employed. We go do employee visits as well. We talk to their employers and see what we can do to help service those young people if they need more additional help. We also do things like make sure they have winter clothes, make sure that they have food, make sure that they have, money to do laundry and things like that if they're going on to post-secondary education and they're staying in a dorm. Many times they don't think about things like laundry soap and that they need to buy quarters or, they have cards now. They don't use quarters. That was my age. But they have cards now that they stick into the laundry machine, and that's how they do their laundry. So those are things that they never think about, and we try to teach those kids that all along the way and help them through that 12-month follow-up period. So how do we identify who these students might be? Well, of course, we know that we're looking at at-risk kids. So there's definitely always a pool of those students that have the greatest barriers to success. And that's really what the JAG model, how we sort of find these students and find out who these people are. Those barriers to success are based on academic, personal, environmental, income, work-related, and other barriers. It could be things like pregnant at a young age, single parents, maybe they're homeless, they're living on couches, things like that. Environmental too could be things like they live in a house that has mold, so they have to move. They're being displaced. We base as a national agency, our barriers to success, and we identify our students. The average barrier has to be 6 or more barriers to success. And last year, our kids averaged over 8 barriers to success. So hugely in need. And many of these students and young people, they don't have marketable skills. So we help teach those kids marketable skills so that they can go into the world and make something of themselves. We also work with the in-school portion of it. We create an advisory committee that's made up of the principal, the counselor, other teachers in the agency. We also bring in career specialists that we hire that have a teaching degree so that they are fully capable of being a teacher and working in an environment where there are teachers, and we try to make it's seamless so that the students don't realize that this is a program. They see it as a class. They see the career specialist as a teacher, and then she or he also works very closely with the principal, the counselors, the other teachers, and participates in things like meetings, staff meetings. We have care meetings where we talk about students' needs and things like that, where we are right now. So we have our career specialists participate in all of those types of activities so that they can be fully a part of what's happening in the school system. And we rely on that heavily as well, because that's how we learn about our students, and that we also look to that advisory committee to help us identify who some of those young people might be that are in need of the JAG program. As far as curriculum goes and competency attainment, JAG National has created very comprehensive data-driven curriculum. We also have a national data management system where we input all of our data, so everything is very qualitative and quantitative. We're able to run reports at the flick of a button and give you data virtually in 2 minutes about what our student population looks like. We provide our students with 120 hours of objective-driven curriculum, and again, it's already created. We don't have to buy it. We don't have to go out there and create it. We've purchased the curriculum as a one-time purchase fee, and now we're able to go and use that curriculum on a regular basis. And it's very comprehensive, and the students really enjoy using it. We have more than 88 competencies that we offer, and 37 competencies are achieved each year. And we also look at our objective-driven data and our curriculum, and we look at what the objectives are, and we're able then to recreate in different school districts in different areas. Using that objective, we can tailor it to each individual, each school. We're very individualized because, as one of our people said earlier, everybody has different learning styles. So we work very closely one-on-one with our students and our young people. Some of the competencies and the curriculum areas: career development, job attainment, job survival. Once they get a job, how do you keep your job? Basic skills, hygiene, things like that. Leadership skills, personal skills, life survival skills. How much does it cost to live? How much is an apartment? How can I afford that? How much are utilities, cable, your iPod, your iPad, your BlackBerry. How do you afford all that? We teach kids all about that. The workplace skills. Once you get your job, you keep your job. There's certain things that you have to do in the job, and there's certain ways that you act, and we teach them all of those things. Another thing that we do within the JAG program, which is amazing, is we have a JAG Career Association where it's student-led. We have student leaders come together. They nominate each other for leadership positions, and then we provide the students with minimal support. They really do it all themselves. Once they realize that they can, we provide them with leadership development, career development, social and civic awareness activities, as well as community service. We have an expectation that our kids will put in 10 hours of community service throughout each year. And some of the community service projects that we've worked on are reading buddies. We take our high school kids and put them into 3rd and 5th grade schools and English classes, and we have them read. So that builds their reading skills, and they feel good because they can read the books, and the kids love it, and the kids love it. And it teaches the young people, look, these are high school kids, I'm going to aspire to be that person. And what they don't realize in 3rd and 5th grade when these kids come to read to them is that these kids are the most at-risk kids, the most at risk of dropping out. They've made their way to an alternative school where we are right now. They've been dropped out of the high school. Their last chance is the alternative school that we're in, and they respect them and they admire them. And the kids, when they're that young, they don't realize it. And it gives our kids such a great ego boost. Something else that we do that is crucially important is mock interviews. This is one of the things that we work months and months on with our students. We create resumes, cover letters. We teach them how to fill out job applications. You don't put the job application in your pocket, fold it up 14 times, fill it out with a pencil, and then take it back and think that you're going to get a job. So we teach them things that they just are too young to even know or have learned anywhere else. We teach them about dressing professionally, understanding interview questions and the processes behind that. We have these mock interviews. We do it 3 times a year, and we bring in community members that are going to be the people that hire them. And we teach them all along the way how to dress, how to shake hands, how to make eye contact, how to present yourself. Take out your rings and your clips and all of these things, and how to dress. We've taken them to places like Goodwill and let them buy interview clothes so that they can see not everybody has to shop at Macy's. We can shop at Goodwill and find deals, and you can look presentable. So we've taught kids about that. So this is just a great picture too, because Lori, she works for Goodyear, and she is the hiring manager. She's in HR and sales and marketing, and this gentleman she was interviewing was very interested in working for the company. Over the past year, that company has gone through some transition, so she had to put that on the back burner. But she loves coming and doing these mock interviews and participating, because she knows that the people that are in this program are not going anywhere. They're going to stay in their community for the most part, and they're going to be in the workforce that these people are hiring. So we try to make these matches and offer workplace opportunities where the kids can go and do job shadowing and see what the job is really like. We recently took the kids to Best Buy and did a full day of job shadowing there. It was a national initiative by Best Buy, and some of the kids took applications and went back and filled them out and took them back and got jobs at Best Buy. So it's a great program. Some of the other things we do, community partnerships are so important for enriching education for these young people. As I said, we reach into the communities for the mock interviews, and we bring in these people to do the mock interviews. We also work with our business and education partnerships. In many communities, almost every community, we found that they're called different things everywhere. Where we are now, it's called the Business and Education Partnership. So they're called different things, but it's the business, the education sector, they're all coming together for a common goal. The kids, the students. How do we make sure that these kids are ready for the workforce when they graduate from high school? We go to service clubs. We work with the service clubs. We work with the area school districts. We work with employers, because we want to make sure our kids have jobs when they graduate from high school. And of course, we work with the job centers, because we know that that's where kids can go and fill out applications. They can learn about jobs. And we teach them that when they get done with high school, if they have greater needs, that these job centers are great places to go. And that's also where we have on-site representation, that those kids can come and actually talk to people through that 12-month period as well. So what are the outcomes for our class last year? We base everything on a year's basis. So when we do our follow-up period, at the end of that follow-up period is when we assess where our kids, the outcome of all of those students are. So for our class of 2009-2010, the benchmarks for JAG National, a graduation rate of 90% is the benchmark. We had a 100% graduation rate. This year as well, our kids of the 2010-2011 class, 100% graduation rate. Each year we've had over 35 kids in the program, and over 20 of those kids were seniors and graduating. Most of the kids are juniors and seniors in this program that we're running right now. But in different places, everywhere, it depends on what the school looks like and what the pool of students looks like that are the most needy. Positive outcomes rate, what are students doing anything positive? The benchmark's 80% and we achieved 95%. And this year we also are poised to achieve a much higher rate in the 90s. Full-time placement rate will mean that the kids are full-time, either working full-time or they're doing something full-time. Part-time school, part-time work, they're engaged full-time somehow. Again, we're breaking all the benchmarks in our first year because we've only been doing this 2 years in Wisconsin. 80%, 88% was our what we achieved. Our full-time jobs rate means that the kids are working full-time. 60% is the benchmark. 62% was what we reached. So we just eked over the top of that because, as we know, the job market right now is really horrendous, and that's why we dig so deeply into the businesses, and we get the businesses to meet our students because we want those relationships to be built throughout the school year. So when they do graduate, they do have a place that they know somebody within the organization. Our employment rate, unfortunately, 60% is the benchmark. That just means that our kids are employed. So we've got about 40% of our kids are employed. And the post-secondary education rate, we exceeded that as well at 55%. The benchmark was 50. The bottom line with this program is that it works. It works every single time. We've proven it over 30 years. 750,000 graduates. These are kids that might not ever have found their way. Just working 2 years with a group of kids that, I have personally seen kids, we've changed their lives. We have taken kids that have been homeless, sleeping on couches, have no aspirations for a future, figured out how they could get scholarship money. They could go to a 4-year college, a private college, and have it fully funded and do something with their lives and see these kids grow and see that they have a potential. It's just an amazing program. We're very hopeful that we're able to bring it to Tomah in the fall and help boost some of these numbers and get some of these kids on a great path for their future. It really is all about the students and focusing on the students, focusing one-on-one on the students. And that's the great part of this program is our career specialists are trained at the national level on how to deal with different types of learning styles and different types of students and how to work with these students. And it works. So I hope that you'll consider having us come to Tomah. Is there any questions?
Yeah. How does this fit in? I'm understanding the goals and all of that. How does it fit in? Is it an alternative school? Is it in the schools? How does this?
Great question. Absolutely. Well, it's different in all different states. It's really tailored to the school. In this situation, we would be in the school. We'd be working right side by side with the rest of the teachers. We've had some discussions about the need for a classroom. We would have certain students identified that would be the JAG students. Those kids would come to us. We'd give them an hour every single day. So could be 35, 45 kids. Every single day we want to make sure that we're seeing these kids an hour and providing them with the curriculum, providing them with the services that they need to flourish in their future. Teach them all of these types of skills, the mock interview skills, the interview skills, how to dress, how to act, their cover letters, their resumes. Those are crucially important features. I have a daughter that's in high school right now. She's 16, and she just went through the careers class, and they talked about resumes, but they never built the resumes. They talked about job applications, but they never filled them out. They got to do job shadowing, but they had to do it on their own. They had to go figure it out on their own. The beauty of the JAG program, and frankly, I found the job shadowing. She couldn't do it. She's 16. She didn't really know what that even meant. The beauty of this program is we help those kids through that. We find those opportunities for them. We ask them what they're interested in, and then we help find those. But it's really about being a teacher. We help with all of the things like math, science, English, the areas that they all are crucially deficient in. And the numbers speak for themselves. We can raise those kids up, raise their bootstraps and put them on the path to a better tomorrow by offering them skills and showing that they can achieve those skills. And again, it's very much working one-on-one. They bond with the career specialist like no other. That person becomes one of their support system people. I think that's part of it too, is that it's also a support system. So it's in the school, it's a classroom, it's a class. We've talked about a credit or non-credit. Where we are now, we don't offer a credit. The kids, they sign up for it just like they would any other class, but the credit is given through their advisory class. So that's just how the program works. The kids don't realize that. They just think it's the class, and they come and they get graded, and they get graded in the class, and we assess their skills. We give them assessment tests to make sure that to see where they are here, and then where they are in 6 months, and where they are in a year. And so it's no different than some of the tests, the standardized testing we've been talking about, that you all have been talking about, and that we all know exists. And so we look at those numbers, and we know that not every kid learns the same way. So we try to help them raise those types of skills, and we're right there in the classroom every single day.
Sandy, if I can just interject, a lot of what she has shared really sounds like what we do in our alternative program here at Robert Cooper with the Milwaukee Street Project. So when Gail and I met with Sandy, we talked about implementing it right at the high school. So at the end of our freshman year, end of students' freshman year, we can identify who some of the most at-risk students are. And instead of waiting for them to fail for 2 years before they decide to come out to Robert Cooper, why not try to implement a program right at the high school where maybe we can catch those kids at the end of the freshman year, start doing these types of activities and lessons, and keep them at the high school so that they are getting the coursework and have the opportunity to participate in the activities there. So that was the vision that we saw for how this program could work for us here. And again, parents would have, and Gail, you feel free to add, when Gail was at the meeting too, parents would sign up to have their children involved. The program would be explained to them, and then we would work a schedule out where they would be meeting every day during a particular period with this career specialist, the JAG counselor.
So this could really be an enhancement to the freshman academy. It could work hand in hand with that. As the kids are moving through that, we're identifying them, catching them.
Yeah, much earlier.
A lot of the kids that are in the freshman academy directed study would be the kids we would be watching because they're the ones that are at risk.
But you wouldn't incorporate this until they were sophomores, essentially.
Right.
So, would it be you mentioned the parents would sign them up for it, but they would be identified, basically, in that.
Right, so we would have a parent meeting where we would explain the program, and then parents would have the opportunity with their child to make a decision.
And you feel that schedule-wise that would work? Obviously, they need to still get the number of credits they need in a year, and
I think the 8-period day has helped out. There's that elective time frame
Okay, how much?
That's the goal.
Thanks to our partners, Western Wisconsin Workforce Development Board and Workforce Connections, we're able to bring this program because they are funding the program for us. So we're able to offer this program, basically free of charge. The only thing that we're looking for is the space, of course, the classroom. It would be, so in kind is what we're looking for, contributions. The classroom, the computer that would be in the classroom, and the internet access so that our career specialists could be entering the data in the national database, and also, email and things like that so that they could communicate with the parents and the students and things like that. Do students have email? Do your students have email addresses?
Some of them.
Okay.
Certainly parents
Yeah,
do.
okay. And so that's another way, we keep in touch with the parents and things like that through the email. But otherwise, it's really because of the partnership that we formed with the Western Wisconsin Workforce Development Board and Workforce Connections that we're able to do this and offer this program.
And those are state agencies? Is that, yeah.
Nonprofit.
Nonprofit.
Nonprofit agencies. Western Workforce Development Board and Workforce Connection are both by the ones working in workforce development in Western Wisconsin.
Okay.
We get mislabeled as state agencies because we competitively go out and seek grant funds, and we are primarily government grant funded. So we've taken the bold step of taking some of our money and put it into this project.
Gentleman was our keynote speaker at our CISA meeting and talked a little bit about job focus and kind of dismal numbers that kids are facing as they're entering the job market. And there was a lot of enthusiasm about this program as something that will be one bright light that we can offer to kids entering, or the kids that are going to have the most difficulty entering the job market.
And, we've talked about the cuts that we've made in our programming this year, and there will be less teachers at the high school next year. And so being able to bring someone in who, can focus on a select group of kids who are truly at risk at no cost, being able to partner with the workforce development, I think it's a good idea to give it a try.
Like a win-win?
Like a win-win.
This is one of the things in our strategic plans, form those partnerships with every community agency resource we can and utilize and work together. And I guess I see it as a way of utilizing some of those state and federal funds indirectly, putting them back into our district.
Up by the microphone?
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's also a beautiful fit with the RTI initiative that we're trying to start up at the school, in the school district also.
One of the key points about this particular project, I've seen this done time and time again. In Chicago, we went inner city and looked at this JAG program, getting tremendous results. I personally put it into play in a school district that was getting 58% graduation on their 4-year cohorts. And we were seeing those kinds of numbers that you saw in that inner city school. So we know the numbers are proven. I've personally seen them proven. But one of the most exciting pieces of this for us is that the evidence-based practices that are here, and if we can get some wins, we can get some attention to bring other monies into the community, to leverage the wins to do this over and over and over again and replicate this opportunity. But we need that first step. We need that first in. And what we're doing is we're looking at this bold opportunity to do just that. So, thank you.
Gail, do you feel there's any, I know some of the things you spoke about, we do incorporate some of that as there crossover classes that we currently do offer this sort of things that you would be doing, but within our current curriculum, but probably these students
wouldn't be in those
taking
classes.
anyway.
Yep, generally the part of school to work is that they have to be attending school, they have to have be showing up at work, things like that, and the kids that would be in this program aren't doing that, so they end up not being able to be in the school to work program. They would also incorporate with our reality check, which would be, the kids would be able to do it more than once. A lot of the kids say, the first time that it's so overwhelming, but to be able to do it, several times, I think that it would sink in more. They would get more out of it that way too. So I think working in conjunction with the other classes at the high school, these kids aren't getting those things, so through this program they would.
I see this model working with our 8 students here at the Robert Cooper Learning Center with our 8 seniors. Mm-hmm. It works. The problem is that we need to be reaching more students, and I think this is an opportunity to reach more students earlier.
Earlier is the key point. I see a lot of kids, freshmen, sophomores, just struggling, not knowing what they're going to do, not being able to succeed, and we can't put them anywhere until they're juniors. And I think this will really, really help that.
You mentioned typically it's juniors, seniors, but it would be acceptable for
Absolutely.
sophomores.
It's called the MultiYear Model. So we can offer it to freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. Just where we are right now, the class, it's juniors and seniors, because they're falling out of the high school, and so they need to be somewhere. And so it's sort of like your idea that at 10th grade they're still at the high school, and they're trying to get them to achieve the goals, but by the time they're juniors, if they're credit deficient, some of our kids, 23 credits is what they need to graduate, and they come in with 10 credits, and they're juniors. And they accelerate everything. But we help them achieve the independent credits that they need to achieve and things like that. So it works. It really does.
What are the qualifications that typically people in the classroom have that are in this program?
The participants?
Oh, the teachers. Oh,
the JAG.
Sure, the career specialist.
Yes.
The career specialist is typically a teacher, has a teaching certificate. And we train them at a national level to be able to identify what the curriculum is and how to deal with the database and things like that. And also identify things about students. And in this day and age, there are so many new developments, things like drug issues that didn't exist, 10 years ago. We're facing heroin issues, for example, in many communities. And so we teach our career specialists how to deal with students that have those types of issues. Crisis management, how to deal with somebody that's, accelerating anger in the classroom. How do you deal with those kinds of kids? Usually, though, it's a teacher. They know the classroom, they understand the classroom, they understand students, and we just train them about what it means to be a JAG specialist, and just that JAG, the whole idea of the Jobs for America's Graduates, JAG is the acronym, and just what it means to implement the actual programmatic pieces. But typically, who we have right now is a teacher. She has an English degree, and she teaches the JAG program, but also teaches journalism to the JAG kids and is able to teach some English classes and things like that. So we use her in all different capacities. It can be a male or female. We do have a female right now, but we see many times that the male can really help with the male population that maybe needs extra support as well. So we just, whoever's the most qualified person for the position, we interview. We put an interview, the job out there in the market, various online and whatnot, and then we have an interview process, and we bring in possibly the school superintendent, our principal at the high school, where we are now. We had the superintendent and the principal, as well as people from Forward Service Corporation and myself interview the people for the position. And it's really just identifying who's going to be the best fit for the position, for the class, and for the school.
So the teacher that would be here is only here?
Is only here. Oh, yes, only here. Each career specialist is assigned 35 to 40, it can take up to 45 kids under their wing, but they're only positioned in the one school. It would be way too much for somebody to be at different schools and be able to manage the day-to-day process with the students and build those relationships if they were extended all over the place.
And it's my understanding, too, that similar to our police liaison officer, that the teacher is their employee, but we would have
Yes.
a memorandum of understanding created as we do for the police liaison
Goes along with my
officer.
question, who carries the liability insurance on that staff member?
And it would be their employee.
They carry the liability, and can you tell me more about your training? Is this a formalized training process when not you're training the students, you're training
Yes.
your staff?
Absolutely. Yes, they have training at Forward Service Corporation just on, the policies of Forward Service Corporation. But then Jobs for America's Graduate National, each year in the summer, it's coming up actually in July 12th through the 16th, they have the National Training Seminar, which is, 4 or 5 days of intense training where you learn all aspects of the curriculum, the student base, testing, assessments, how to identify the kids that are the most at risk, the advisory committees, just oodles and oodles of breakout sessions and training, and we do that this summer. And so we're looking to potentially bring someone on board that we could send to that training this summer right away, so that they would be fully trained before moving into the program. Otherwise, we bring in just one of the trainers. We fly them here and just have them trained one-on-one. But it's better if they can go to the National Training Seminar, because they get to see peers. They have questions answered. It's can be overwhelming starting a new job. They can ask questions. They meet people, and it's training. It's great training for them. It's great training ground.
So their job is not only in the classroom in the school, but it's also going out and meeting employers and stuff in the community?
Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. And part of my role, that's what the career specialist is, yes, very involved in. They have an employer marketing development plan that we put together with them. And it just really identifies who the companies are, who the people are out in the community that they want to reach out to, who would be great employers for these young people, and they reach out that way. One of the things I bring to the table, though, is, as the regional director, is creating those relationships, initially creating those relationships and attending all of these meetings and meeting people and setting those relationships up together and doing some networking, so that when the career specialist comes on board, that they're just not blindly thrown into the position and they don't know anything. They maybe don't know the community, although we do look to find people in the community to be the career specialist, because they know the students or the participants, they know the community, they know the players, they typically know, how everything runs in their own communities. So we normally aren't bringing people from the outside. We wouldn't probably bring anybody from Madison up here unless they wanted to interview and their credentials were impeccable and maybe they were thinking they were going to move to Tomah. But we're going to probably look to the community and look within the community to find that teacher, that career specialist. Go ahead. Yeah. Did I miss something? I'm sorry.
And forward service isn't in this alone. So we bring the full backing, not only the money to be able to do this, but also all of our services to wrap around the youth and the youth's family. And just like you saw forward service, we also do W-2, we do FSET, we do a lot of the Workforce Investment Act, adult dislocated worker, so on and so forth, that the same things that they do, and we do them in western Wisconsin. So this career specialist wouldn't be just cast in alone. They are going to have all of the same things that any one of the people that work for us have at their disposal. You know, one of the key points that I think is so impressive about this program is that this person is not tied to a curriculum and teaching kids and then moving them on to the next hour, teaching kids, moving them on to the next hour. They're dedicated to those kids and their success in the classroom and outside the classroom, 7 days a week, all year round. So in June, the kids are not cut loose. These career specialists are on those kids all summer long. They're with them in the evenings, weekends, and whatever needs to be done. So they're dedicated to the student and the curriculum, but not just a curriculum. And that was the most impressive piece that we liked.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Other questions?
I got one. Sandy, how does your program deal with a learning disability student?
Well, again, we identify the kids that are the most at risk of needing this program. So I guess it would just depend on the degree of the disability. We do have some kids that are dyslexic, for example, in our JAG program, and we work with them one-on-one because many times they're just rushed through, for example, reading or exams, and somebody needs to help them slow down, have them read things out loud so that they understand. So it just depends on that level of disability, but certainly we're looking at the advisory committee to help us piece those pieces together and figure out who the kids are that are the most at risk and need the program the most.
But you do provide placement somewhere down the road.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Working with our partners, and we're looking to hire an out-of-school career specialist as well, who will be focusing on the students the participants that are no longer in high school, but still need help and still need service. And we're looking to have another career specialist in this 8-county area that will manage the 8-county area and work with some of these other students and find places for them and find placement for them.
Go ahead. There was a couple of different things. Workforce Connections and Western Workforce Development Board we have relationships with the Department of Vocational Rehab, Riverfront, but we also run programs for individuals with disabilities. So if we should have an issue where we need to get resources to the point where a student has some issues with the disability, where we have to go out and we can bring partners in to address that issue, definitely. The other part of this partnership, and this is not only happening here in Tomah, it's happening in different places across our 8-county region. We're bringing WisCorps in with this conversation. Mm-hmm. And what we're hoping to do is bring that WisCorps part 2, that's the work experience part, in conjunction with this, so that the young people, even if we can't get them placed in a private sector, unsubsidized type of opportunity, we can get them some work experience on a WisCorps crew. And that's the new model of the Wisconsin Civilian Conservation Corps. And it's actually started 2 years ago in La Crosse. It's really quiet, no one really knows about it, but it's starting to gain some momentum in the state of Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. And he is, WisCorps is all over the state as well, so the gentleman that's running the program here, his crews he's managing crews that are all over the state. So they're not just in La Crosse, so they could be here in Tomah, they could be anywhere in this 8-county region or elsewhere.
Kids from Tomah could be anywhere in the state.
Exactly.
And get experience at doing something.
Right. Exactly, and that's the beauty of it. He interviews the students, the participants, and then makes a determination if they would be a good candidate to be on the crew. And they camp, they do what they need to do to be in communities, but most times if they're out of their own community, they're camping. They have a crew leader. They live, camp, eat, sleep, breathe, work together for like the whole summer. So we're working in partnership with Wiscor and hoping to be able to place some of our students with that group after they graduate. Questions? Other questions?
How many students would this service if we did it at the high school? What kind of numbers?
Yes, between 35 and 45. Each career specialist can manage up to 45 students. Once we get past the 45, then we're just not being able to meet all of their needs, with one person. So the idea is that each specialist has 35 to 45 students, and the beauty of that also is that then you can use that data as leverage to say, here was our success, here were your other students, here's where we took the success, and we can do that with the rest of these kids. So it's showing that we can succeed and that these kids can succeed, and then being able to replicate that over and over and over again. And it really, we're only bound by the fact that it's financial. We need the money to pay the specialists. So the more money we can raise, the more people we can bring on board, and the more we can expand the program in Western Wisconsin.
You have a 12-month follow-up period as well.
Yeah.
And so when she says they can take on 35 to 45 students, they can take on 30 to 45 active students.
Thank
and
you.
then in the second year, they will have 30 to 45 in follow-up. So they never really let them go till later on once they start moving on. And what we're hoping, this is the end game for us as workforce development, is that they do get to know and understand our systems, that we catch them all through their career, and that we can engage them in positive trajectories through their career, not just the 1 year they have in PETS and 12 months they have. So a specialist will have 35 to 45 their first year, and then they'll have 35 to 45 in follow-up their second year, and 35 to 45 live people in front of them. So it gets to about 70.
So you can see that one person, you could not be serving, a number of schools. It's really because they do have that follow-up, those follow-up kids to track as well.
I think because the training is in July, you said the national training, if we were going to do this, we probably would want that person to participate in the national training. I think I'm going to make a motion that we approve this for 1 year, for the 2011-2012 school year.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second then to approve the proposal of the Jobs for America's program and implementation for 1 year, the 2011-12 school year. Is there any further discussion?
I had a couple of questions,
Sure.
if I could form them. What other districts are participating in this program right now?
Well, the in-school portion of it, we're looking also to move it into La Crosse. In one of the high schools there, we identified Central High School, for example, could potentially be one. We're waiting to meet with the school district superintendent, probably in the next coming weeks. They were meeting, he was meeting with his principals. They were having a meeting, a retreat, so potentially it could be Central High School. Then we have the 8-county area where we've got transition and carryover from the program that is happening right now, where our out-of-school career specialists will service the rest of the 8-county area this first year.
So I guess the question again is, are there any other districts right now that you're actively working with?
Up here in Western Wisconsin, La Crosse Area School District.
Well, I see this, but is there any other districts similar to Tomah that you're actually performing this service in?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Yes, Sun Prairie Area School District. This is our second year. Okay. And Sun Prairie is located in Dane County. Yep.
Sure.
So we initially presented the package to Dr. Tim Culver, who's the superintendent there, and Wendy Taves, the principal of Prairie Phoenix Academy. And they, like you, said, it's free? Wow, really? Why? What could go wrong? So they brought the program the first year as a pilot, as you had just indicated you were interested in, and it works. And they moved from 82% graduation rate to 84% graduation rate, and we were part of that process, and we were part of getting those kids to graduate. So while they didn't reach the 85%, and unfortunately they're one of those schools that is put on special notice, we helped achieve 2% growth for that school in graduation rates. We just finished our second year, again, 100% graduation rate, and it works. The program works. These kids, they would not be doing the things that they're doing. They would not be going to college. They would not have jobs. We've introduced them to a world that they didn't even know existed.
As I understand, the grant funding just came through to expand it to Western Wisconsin.
Yes, what we're doing as nonprofit organizations, we were taking some of our grant funds and redirected it into this effort, because we really feel this is the future of youth workforce development. And we go out, businesses talk to us all the time. Businesses are telling us, these young people are coming out, but they don't have the workplace skills. They don't understand how to get that job, keep the job, and then be successful in my workplace. And as the workforce development entity in Western Wisconsin, it is our responsibility for every workforce, every person in the workforce to get their skills up. And this is an opportunity for us to help those young people get to where they need to be. We are raising a whole generation of young people that do not have the same work ethics. And what I mean by work ethic is they just don't have the opportunity to build it. And we have to do something to give them that opportunity.
There's nothing that's been presented tonight that I don't 100% agree with, absolutely. The questions I have are just more about the actual skill set and where we're at. So Sun Prairie is a district that's been online, and they're continuing.
Yeah.
They've not discontinued the program.
Oh, no.
Have we validated with them how they've felt about the program?
I have not contacted
Okay.
them, but I certainly can.
No, it's easy. I mean, we can certainly take action, but that was something just to check. Are there other districts right now that you're presenting to, other than La Crosse, as you've stated, that have passed? Has anybody passed on this program when it's been presented to them?
Oh, no. No one's passed. We've presented to other...
I can understand why they wouldn't, but if there was, I'd like to know why they did.
No.
Now, you're funded by a grant for this, correct?
Yes, correct.
What is the mandate of your grant? And if the grant terminates, how does that affect us?
Well...
That's me.
Right. You're the funding source for Forward Service Corporation? Okay.
Correct. Forward Service Corporation won our WIA Youth request for proposal this year. We intend that their success, our success, will be their success. You see one of my staff members in the back. We've actually put resources to the success of this program. So not only are we grant funding it, and we're saying, I'm not just giving her the checkbook and saying, go and do good things. We are committed to the success of this. And we are putting resources on the board to help them be successful in this. So not only are we're the grantor or the grantee or whatever, I always mix those two up. We want to see this succeed, so we are giving them all full resources of Workforce Connections and the Western Workforce Development Board to be successful.
That explains a lot, and that's the part that I was missing until just now, because their Form 990 doesn't indicate any funding source on this, and that's because this is year one. Okay.
This is year one, and we hope that we give year 22.
Exactly.
That's really what we're hoping for.
I'm good.
Okay.
Is there any commercial involvement in this whole process? I mean, private, for-profit, commercial partnership?
I would love that.
Forward Service Corporation has that. You guys have some private funding.
Well, we actually received anonymous donation to fund the pilot program in Sun Prairie, just to get it off the ground and see if it worked. Because of course we didn't know going into it initially if this was something that was going to work. But it works. It's amazing, and we've done it now for 2 years. We're moving into third year in Sun Prairie, and we're also talking to the Sun Prairie High School right now, because we're in the alternative school right now, and they're anxious to get it into the high school, and it's all about the funding. So we are reaching out as far as sustainability goes. We're reaching into the business world as well. In the Madison and Sun Prairie area, we're reaching into American Family Insurance. So we've built relationships for 2 years with American Family Insurance, and now we're poised to have receive funding to sustain the program for the future. So we're looking to do that in the St. County area as well.
And Forward Service, Workforce Connections are the same type of animal. We have, but on my board I have many private sector employers that have deep pockets that are interested to see how this works.
Sure.
So when
your 990 isn't visible on the internet, but theirs is. But
well, it is. It's there.
Is it?
Yep. Yes, it is.
Okay.
You just have to look under Workforce Connections.
Is that what it's called? Okay.
Yes.
Check. That's great, though. I thank you for the presentation.
Before long, he'll have it.
That's great. Here's just to kind of give you an idea of some of the corporations that are interested in this. Courtesy Corporation, one of the largest providers of McDonald's in this area. Quick Trip is on our board. You won't find it on our 990 because Quick Trip just started joining us this last year. Logistics Health is on our board, is interested in what's going on. They love youth. Those types of organizations are the ones that would be interested in seeing how this is going to happen, and then that'll allow us to leverage for private funding and donations and opportunities like that.
I guess the last thing I would add too is I know that Cindy participated. There was a teleconference that took place on February 22nd. So with Dr. Tony Evers, we do have Dr. Evers' ear and DPI's ear. So he's very interested in the program and is really helping us propel the program and reaching out to the superintendents and the principals across the state. We're also working with the governor's office right now as well to find other forms of funding to sustain the program and move the program across the state. So again, we look forward to working with you guys.
Can I just ask you why Tomah? Did you
Ask that question.
Absolutely. She asked the same question. Well, we looked at the WINS data, which is data about all the schools across the state of Wisconsin, the school districts, and we looked at the those numbers as well as the the hot lunch program, free hot lunch program, to see the need there as well, and so that's how we sort of started identifying. We're looking at graduation rates and those kinds of things, and that's how we identified the Tomah school district as potentially being a school that we would be interested in moving into and helping get those rates up.
I'm really interested in working in a school that has got it doesn't need us.
Right.
We need to be where the young people need us.
Right. It doesn't make sense for us to go into a school that already has a 95% graduation rate or a 98% graduation rate. There are kids that are still needy in those environments. And we did try to break into a couple of schools like that. Initially, before I came on board a couple of years ago, they had done some preliminary research into DC Everest, which apparently after they had done a little research, they found out that the school was not as needy as they thought. So it's really all about research as well as researching what the communities are and the schools and the students and the student base and their standards and the demographics and things like that. So that's how we determined Tomah would be a great fit.
And this won't be the last community. This the long-range goal here, the strategic goal here is that we can be in 5 to 10 different communities within 5 to 10 years. That's really where we want to be, and we're just taking this opportunity to introduce this to Western Wisconsin, a place where this has never been before.
Other questions?
Okay, then we have a motion and a second to approve the utilization of the America's Graduates Program, JAG Program, for the 2011-12 school year, for 1 year. Is there anything further? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Appreciate hearing next year how we're doing and the progress that's happening.
Thanks. Absolutely. We definitely will. And anytime you want us to come and give a progress report, we'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
So we'll be talking with you again soon.
Absolutely. In the next couple of days. How's that sound?
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. Thanks, you guys.